and say to yourself, peace, be still. Be still and know that you are God. And Father, Mother God, we give thanks for this time, this place, the energies that have found their way here. Let us be comfortable enough to take on the mantle of Godhood, knowing who we are as the divine beings of this earth, correcting the process and straightening the way, and giving those who have lost their humanity back. And for this time that we spend together in oneness and harmony, we just say Ashe, 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 Ashe. Well, this morning we have Alicia Johnson with us, and she's going to be presenting on journaling. And I can't wait to hear about this because I think that journaling is such an important process of things that we do in our life and remember, because a lot of times we remember things in our head and we have a good memory, but when you go back to November 1968 and you can say, oh man, I was doing that then and I'm still doing that here. I'm repeating the process. Yes. When do I break the chain? Yes. So when we start understanding that process, this is really about you, because what? You are the most important person in the world. Mm-hmm. There's no one more important than you, because when you know who you are and you're divinely so and carrying yourself in that place, then we all move forward. And that's what this work is about here, is getting the soul corrected so we can all move forward. So I present to you, Alicia. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, truth has its own vibration. So I'm sitting there listening to you, and I'm getting these tingles because you operating in truth. So that really excites me. On earth as it is in heaven, for everything in the natural, there's a parallel and corresponding occurrence in the supernatural. And so it is with our lives. And that's why I talk in circles and cycles, and that's what we're going to understand. So on earth, if you can understand what's happening here, earth is constantly whispering to you what heaven needs you to know. On earth, circles move things easily. Okay, the wheels on a car, the hinges on a door, your rotator cuff, everything that needs to move moves on circular technology. And so it is with our lives. We hang on to stuff too long. We're supposed to let it come in, do what it needs to do, cycle through, and move on, okay? And so once you start to understand who you are and who God created you to be, everything is going to open up for you. And so to give you a little backstory of who I am, my life was a mess. Okay, my life was a mess. You get to that point where, God, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What is my calling? Okay, the kingdom of God is within you. My kingdom does not look like your kingdom. Your kingdom does not look like her kingdom, and on it goes. Okay, so once you honor the essence of who God has created you to be, all of the competition stops. I was a little dense in understanding this, so it took me a little while to get to this point, okay? God, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What is my calling? You journal. Very simple. Okay, well, I'm good with numbers, so I'll go to school and I'll get a degree in accounting, okay? I get a job in accounting, do all of that, you do everything, you still don't feel fulfilled. God, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What is my calling? You journal. Oh, okay, the opportunity to become a legal assistant came up. So that's kind of cool. That's different. I'll give that a shot, okay? You do that little stint for a minute and you realize that that is not what you're supposed to do. Once again, God is a creator of time. God is not bound by time. So you can take as long or as quickly as you want to get through the process. Because I am awake to this now, my processes move real fast because I'm a quick study, okay? So once you start to understand, and this was like my come to Jesus moment, the job wasn't right, the marriage wasn't right, the kids were acting crazy. God, this is not who you created me to be, okay? And so once you get to that, and you truly start to surrender, God works with what he's given you, okay? And so my gift is journaling. And so throughout this process, you know, God was like, you start to dismiss gifts because they come easily. Because the world teaches you that if you haven't earned your way, then you're not worthy. You don't have a degree in this. How are you qualified to do this? So you doubt and question yourself, okay? So what is journaling? How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to make money with this? This doesn't make sense to me, okay? And so, and so God was like, and then you start to say, well, everybody journals. And God was like, not the way you do. Okay, and so once you take stock in the way that you do a particular thing and you start to own that thing, that's when it starts to grow and blossom inside of you. And so that's some of the work we're going to talk about today. We won't go into all of the journaling details. I'll give you an overview, but it's just going to start to loosen up the soil so that you can start to think differently, okay? We are dual citizens. Okay, we are human and we are spirit. The world wants you to push out the spirit and remain human. But I challenge everyone, the more you pray, the more you meditate, the more time you spend with God, the less you have to do. The more you pray, the more you meditate, the more time you spend with God, the less you have to do. When I share my schedule with people, when I tell them everything that's going on, girl, you are crazy. How do you do all of this? How are you in these places? How do you do what you do? The more you pray, the more you meditate, the more time you spend with God, the less you have to do. In your prayer and meditation time, God will raise up in your spirit, give such and such a call. Oh, okay, that one call opens up everything that you need to do. In your prayer time, God is like, go down to the coffee shop and get a cup of coffee. Okay, you go and pay attention to everything that crosses your path. Pay attention to everything that crosses your path, okay? A lot of times we find ourselves inserting ourselves in things. And this was funny to me. I was sitting at my desk one day and I was like, God, I can't do all of this. This is crazy. I got PTA meeting. I got to do this. And God's like, why? I'm like, why? I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a student. I'm all of these. I got to do this. God was like, I didn't tell you to do these things because the world tells you, okay? And so God was like, for an entire week, y'all might want to write this one down. This helped me a lot, okay? God was like, take a sheet of paper. If it applies to Jesus, it applies to us, okay? God said, on the top of the sheet of paper, write ask. For an entire week, only do what people ask you to do, what people seek you out for, or that people literally knock on your door or your cue. I had 5 things to do. I felt stupid. I said, well, what about all of the other stuff? I inserted myself. I inserted myself. Workout programs. You hear somebody talking. They going to, girl, you know I need to work out. When y'all going? Wednesday? Okay, all right, I'm going to bring my stuff on Wednesday. Then Wednesday come around. Oh, at least you coming with us? No, not today. And then you start feeling because you broke a commitment. But you weren't supposed to be in that thing anyway. So when I do my workshops and my lectures and stuff, I always tell everybody I've taken one for the team so you don't have to. So if you learn from me, then it'll like circumvent a lot of your process. So it's up to you, but listen carefully. So when God gives you your God voice, God speaks to me through homeless people, drunk people, and numbers, okay? And in the world, when we were growing up, I was raised Catholic and all of that. So a lot of the things were in traditional religion, okay? And a lot of the things, you don't pay attention to astrology, you don't pay attention to numbers, you don't pay, those are the very things that are guiding me. Those are the things that are working with me. Those are the things that are true, okay? Homeless people, drunk people, and numbers. Right now, that is my God voice. We're multilingual and it's continuing to grow. But pay attention to how God speaks to you. One young lady, God speaks to her through license plates. That was the weirdest thing for me. But She explained it to me, and when it hits you, truth has its own vibration. I'm like, she's on to something. You hang on to your God voice, okay? So you work with the way God speaks to you. So back to ask. That week, God was like, pay attention to that. So God is going to present. God is loving. He knows who you are. He knows how different you are. He knows what you need, what lessons you need to get you through the process. So for me, I need working examples of how everything works. So ask, okay? So I'm going home. I live in Bowie, so I'm bad with directions. I think that's Benning Road. Benning Road, when you turn right onto 50, like New York Avenue. Okay, that's the right road. There's like an Exxon station here and a KFC right there.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. The week of the ask, okay? Pay attention to how God speaks to you. I'm sitting at that light, and normally at that light, I'm either at the very beginning, getting ready to turn, or I'm all the way in the back. I'm never at this particular, I was like lined up at the Exxon station where the Holiday Inn or whatever that hotel is, right? And so I'm sitting there, and so my windows crack like that much, because, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm driving by myself. So it was cracked enough, and I see this family to the side, and so you could tell he and his wife and the kids. The kids were well manicured, so it was no, you know, nothing out of the norm, but you could tell he and the wife were having a confrontation or a disagreement. And so, you know, when God wants to get a message to you, it's almost like a megaphone. Like you're in the airport and you're going to get, and you can't hear anybody. It's like, boom, 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 yeah. Flight 629 to Atlanta, oh, that's me. You know, you can't hear anything like that. Okay, so I'm on the corner. I'm sitting there, and so ask. Okay, so you pay attention to your language. So the dude comes over to, I can see him walk, you know, I do peripheral vision. I see him walk to the car. Don't make eye contact, don't make eye contact. Light change, to go, right? The light would not change. And so I'm sitting here, and he's getting closer and closer to the crack. This is what he does. May I ask you a question? That I said, okay, God's like, this is you, ask. He's asking you a question. Only get involved with what you're asked. I said, okay. He said, and nothing is wasted in God's economy, okay? I had done enough of a stint with the Red Cross to understand that the story he was telling me was true, okay? And so he was like, we were burned out of our house. Our Red Cross stipend runs out. They gave us 30 days. My wife and I, we just need to get shelf-stable food. We need to get food for the kids, okay? And so I felt bad then. I was like, oh man, okay, God, this is my opportunity. That's beautiful. Thank you, Jesus. So the KFC was like, I said, you want me to get your bucket of chicken? You know, I'm like, okay, you know, I was gonna do my good deed. And so the guy said, well, man, we need shelf-stable foods, which makes sense. He's like, we got boys here. We need, you know, stuff they can. I said, oh, okay. So God was like, I said, I said, well, I don't know how to help them because they need money for that. So God said, give them some, I don't know the area. I know that's my route home, but I don't really shop over there. So God said, give them some money. I said, okay, so in my spirit, God told me the amount. And I was like, surely this is not of God. I can just do it. Okay? And so the light will not change. I'm still at the light. The light has not changed. People are blowing in because I'm waiting, like, you know, I gotta go. And so the guy was like, you know, there's an ATM in the gas station. I said, okay, all right, God. Because I was trying to get my son to soccer. God is the creator of time. God is not bound by time, okay? So my soccer practice appointment with my son was irrelevant. So I pulled into the gas station. I said, okay, I'll run into the gas station and get the money. And so I put in what I thought I heard God say, because surely that couldn't have been the amount, right? So I swiped my card and I put the number in and it would not dispense. So I said, okay, well, it must be the machine. So I will put in the actual amount that God told me to put in. So I put it in, it's like ding, ding, ding. So I said, okay. So I pulled the money out and I gave him the money. I was like, here you go. God bless you. You know, all this little, the right thing. God bless you. Peace be with you. I hope everything works out. God said, give him your phone number. I said, well, that means I'm committed to the cause. Right. So I said, okay. I said, well, listen, if you need anything, call me, let me know. You know, and so God, we exchanged numbers. I mean, he put it in his phone like right there. It won't write it on a sheet of paper like, oops, I lost the paper. We exchanged numbers then, okay? So I get home to take my son to soccer practice. I can't remember if it was delayed or whatever, but he was not late, okay? And he didn't give me any static either. So you know how I have a teenager, you know, Mom, you know I gotta be there, whatever. So I get there, I say, okay, so I get home and I'm processing what happened, okay? So when God starts to do a work with you, never get excited with just the fleshly stuff. Like, oh my God, ass, that was so cool, God, I loved it. God was like, oh no, we get ready to take this thing deeper. Okay, God speaks to me through drunk people, homeless people, and numbers. The next day I get to work. So what do we do when people are burn out and things like that? We want to give them clothes. We want to do some good charitable stuff. God was like, most of the stuff that people call charity is just cleansing and purging. I'm going to give them something that I haven't worn in 3 years and wasn't even thinking about it. God's like, that is not a sacrifice. That's cleaning out. Okay, so I was getting ready to head down that road. So I was like, okay, God, well, I'm gonna put some things together and I'll call some of my girlfriends and we'll put a little care package together. I was like, oh, that's cute. Okay, so I get to the next day. I'm on my way to work and I do my thing and I call one of my minister friends who's on speed dial. So we do a lot of work together. Girl, listen, yesterday I was at the gas station. There was this poor family and they needed help. So if you know, can send out an email, we can send them some clothes or get together a package. We can do that. Christian, real good thing to do. I get to work, right? God's like, we're gonna see who you really are. I get to work, going through my day, and then I get a phone call. I said, oh shoot. They using the number. Miss Alicia, hi, this is TJ, and I wanted to let you know that we made it to the shelter because they were trying to get into a shelter to kind of get them over. So we're at the shelter, and because we were burned out, they're sending us down to the courts because it was an arson. We can qualify for some sort of assistance. Okay, so all we need is transportation from the homeless shelter to the courts. Okay, it's getting serious now because my money's getting involved in my time. So I said, well, okay, pay attention to everything that crosses your path. A month before, my coworker just blurted out in the middle of, we sit in an open area with cubes, okay? And she's like, I drive every day. Leash, do you know there's an app where you can catch a cab anywhere in the city you want to? I'm like, okay, Shanita. Thanks. That was a month before. So I'm sitting at my desk and I said, well, I can't leave work and take them. And it's 5 of them. And they got bags because they're burned out. I have a Honda Accord, so this ain't gonna work. The matches don't work. So God was like, you know, there's pay attention. Everything. So I said, okay, that's cool. So I was like, Shanita, what's that app? So I downloaded the app, right? So I said, okay, I'm gonna send them this cab. And it's getting serious now because I don't know where they're going. I said, this cab could cost me $10 or $100. And I'm like, okay, I need a sign from you. I need to know this is mine to do. One of the numbers that God uses to speak to me is the number 13. So I'm sitting at my desk and I send them a cab. And the cab, Uber, they send the receipt back to you and let you know. So it's like, okay, it went ding. The receipt, $13.26 with a 26-cent discount. This is yours to do. I said, okay, God, that was good. That was funny. Okay. So I was cool with that. So I sent them on their way. So then they get to the place and then they say, Miss Johnson, everything worked out. And we are, all we need now is a cab from the court to the hotel that they have put them up at. I'm good with this now because God has told me this is mine to do. I got the Uber app. I'm cool. I'm going to send you another cab. I got this. This was about 2 or 3 o'clock. Okay. like I said, pay attention to everything that crosses your path. I had done enough of a stint with the Red Cross to know that what they were telling me was true. So I'm waiting to hear back because I said, well, the cab is up, because they tell you who the cab driver is and all of that. So I said, well, this is the cab driver. I'm going to send them the information so you know who you're looking for. And then he sent me a text back like 10 minutes later, hold up, things just went south. I said, well, what happened? What's going on? You know, I'm getting nervous now. I'm committed. I was, you know, we done shared money. So he said, the Red Cross, they evaluate the rooms before they put you in another one to make sure that you've taken care of the one that you had. They had 3 little boys. One of the boys had spilled like a red juice or something on the carpet and it stained the carpet. So they rendered the room damaged. Because they rendered the room damaged, they snatched back their stipend, and so they didn't have anything. So he called me at about 3:30, 4 o'clock, when the courts were getting ready to close. He said, Miss Johnson, don't send the cab. We are homeless. That cut me, hit me to, I have children. So I said, well, okay, well, they can't stay on the street. God, what is mine to do? And so God was like, no, I didn't. No, I'll take that back. I just said, no, they can't stay on the street. I need to do something. Always journal. We have a pretty big mailing list. I got this. I'm going to send an email to everybody on my list, and we'll have some things taken care of. Not one single person replied. Not one. Not even my ace in the hole. The ones that followed me from place to place. Not even one. I said, okay, God was, I said, this was yours to do. I didn't tell you. Pass it off. I said, okay. I said, because it was getting dark. So I said, okay, well, whatever, I gotta do something. And so I called my girlfriend, the minister. And so she said, oh, don't worry about it. She said, I'll send out an email to my list. Her list is bigger than mine. Not a single person responded. She said, well, it crossed my path, so I guess it's ours to do. She said, well, I'll be there, because we had to pick them up and whatever. I said, I got to find somewhere for them to stay. When God gives you something to do, never reduce it down to what you understand. So God said to find them a place to stay. Well, they were technically homeless anyway, so Motel 6 should be all right. God was like, don't put them anywhere you wouldn't stay. I said, okay, all right. So I'm Googling, and I said, well, can I use Priceline at least? I said, okay. So I started putting things up. And so God told me the price to put in. Surely this is not a God. You know that my mortgage is due. So God told me the price to put in. I kept lowballing it, right? So every time it came back, sorry, no. Sorry, no. And the last time I used Priceline, you could bid 3 times and then it would go. You had to wait another 24 hours. But this particular night, I don't know if it had switched or whatever, but I bid like 7 times. And then the last bid, which was what God told me to put in initially, was the one that was accepted. So radical obedience moves you faster. So when I put that in, the hotel came up. I was like, okay, good, we can get them to the hotel. The hotel that came up, we're all familiar with the Inner Harbor. Yeah. Oh, so, across the street, the residence inn, just as good. So I was like, y'all want to stay at my house? Me and my family will come here. So Renee, radically obedient as well, she's like, well, I have to stop on the way, but I'm coming to get them. And so she stopped to pick up a few things. And so when we get to the hotel, the mom said that she needed to, hello. The mom said that she needed some things, you know, like t-shirts and toothbrushes and all of that. And so that's what Renee had stopped to get. And so she was pulling all of this stuff out of the bag. And so she had already prepared for that. And so to make a long story short, they were at this hotel for a couple days. And so we're trying to figure out what needs to be done. Okay, God, so we're in prayer at this point because my mortgage is due. My dad had surgery, so my sister and brother and I, we were taking turns, so it was my turn to go to Alabama. So I was like, I gotta clear this up real quick because I'm gonna be out of town. So God was like, I paid for 2 nights at Residence Inn. And so the third night, God was like, put them up in another hotel. And because I was thinking I was just gonna extend it at the Residence Inn, but the rate doubled. And so I was like, kids, we gotta go. You can't stay here no more. So I was like, well, where are we supposed to put them? So God was like, find another place. So they ended up staying at the Marriott down on near the bus station in DC. And so ended up putting them there. And so they were there. And so they were there for 2 nights. And so God had released us to like pay for anything else. Because at this point I'm listening. Because I don't want to do anything out of the blue or out of, what I'm instructed to do. And so I was like, well, God, what are we supposed to do? What, where are they going to stay? I said, don't worry about it. We got this. So the mom went down to the laundry room to wash clothes. There she met a woman and was telling her story. And the woman had points at that hotel. And so she gave them points, so they had an additional night. So this pushes us into Tuesday. I'm leaving on Thursday. I'm driving down to Alabama. So sister got to get her hair done, her nails done, all of that, so I can look good on the road trip. So there, I'm like, I got to get the oil changed and everything. So this is Tuesday. So I'm at my desk and I was like, God, what are we going to do? I can't just leave them. I'm committed to this, but I need to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So I was like, mega churches. There are a bunch of them in this area. I'll call them. This is what they do. This is great. It's a members only club. Every mega church I call, are they members here? No, but they need help. I'm sorry, ma'am, there's nothing we can do. So I even called my former mega church. I said, hey, I know I haven't been there in a minute, but so I explained the situation. I'm sorry. Well, can I get a refund on my tithes? I'm sure that would help. Okay. Anyway, no, that's another story. Okay, so I'm sitting at my desk, and then God was like, go to your coworker. Pay attention to everything that crosses your path and new people that come into your life. He had only been there 2 months. I didn't know this dude. I did not know him. I didn't know him well enough to come and talk to him about it. So I went down to Kevin's office. I explained the situation. He said, well, call my church. I said, okay, I called all the other ones. I got a voicemail. I left a message. So I was like, okay, God is in your hands. I had to get my hair done the next day. So Wednesday, I was at the hairdresser and my phone rings. So it was the exchange of the church that my coworker told me to call. So I said, oh, okay, so I called. And the guy explained the situation. He said, well, because of what you've explained to me, we normally don't do this. This members only. If you can get them here, then we'll help you out some. Whatever, I'll take whatever I can get right now because sister has her mortgage to pay and I need to go out of town, so whatever. So I called in that day. I left the hairdresser and went to pick. I did my stuff. I had to get my hair done. I had to get my braids done. So I was like, I'll be there after I'm finished with my stuff. So I picked them up and we went to the church. So we found the part of the building where we needed to go to fill out the form. I'm exhausted at this point because we've been up, all week. And the father was going through because he didn't want his boys to see him crying. He would call me from the bathroom, feeling like such a failure. And it was awful because I'm just sitting here like, I wanted to move him into my house. And my husband would not have to. So anyway, but that was not part of the plan. That would have been trying to make it easy for me, or so I think. But anyway, we were at the church. And he went in to fill out the form. So I sat on the steps and I see all these brothers, fine brothers, suits, right? Now look at I was like, where's the hearse? Did you only see, And I was like, I think it was a funeral going on. And so in my spirit, God was like, these are his angels. I didn't get that, right? right? So I'm sitting there, so then Brother Clay came out, and he said, Miss Johnson, nice to meet you. I said, yeah, you know, this is great. Thank you so much for what you're doing. He said, well, we can only put them up for 2 nights. But, you know, I said, okay, whatever, we'll figure it out. And he said, but it doesn't start until tomorrow night. So I was like, oh, what? By this time, I'm like, do y'all want my ATM card? I'll just get you a copy. So I said, well, wherever the place is, I'll take them. I'll pay for tonight. And then when the voucher kicks in, that'll happen. Then he looks me in my eyes. And see, that's how you can always tell that God is talking to you, because it's something about the eyes. Something about the eyes. And he said, it's very fortunate that they are here today. I said, oh, okay. He said, because this is till Thursday. It's FMO. I said, well, I don't go to this church. I don't know what that means. He said, for men only. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. He said, if you can guarantee that he will be here on Thursday, I promise you all of his needs will be. Okay? So I take him to the hotel, and I said, you take this $20 and you put it in your pocket, your sock, whatever, and make sure you get a cab to the, because I was leaving. You make sure you get a cab to that church and do what he needs to do. All of the brothers I saw were the ones that were going to be in that meeting. Those were his angels. My coworker, I went back and told him what was happening. What the guy said, he just looked at me. He said, who are you? I said, what? He said, you don't know what just happened. I said, what just happened? I'm dense like that. That's my husband. He looks at me. I do all this spiritual stuff. And in the natural, I'm as moody as a tune, okay? He said, you don't realize what just happened. I said, okay. He said, but don't worry about him getting there, because I'm going to take him myself. He said, I just want to see. he said, no, I know it's going to be good. I just want to witness it. I said, okay. He said, you don't realize what just happened. So I'm driving to Alabama, so I keep checking my phone, like, what happened? You know, they're calling me. And so 10 o'clock that night, he called me and said, Alicia, that it was a financial planning sort of meeting. And at the end of the meeting, the guy stood up and said, what do you have on? And told his story. There was not a dry eye in the room. He walked out with money. He walked out with job offers. They literally took that family under their wings. And I just spoke with them last month. And they have their first little baby girl. And they have their apartment. And they're doing good. So what I'm going to teach you today is how to pay attention to everything that crosses your path, and pay attention to your God's voice, and know that nothing is wasted in God's economy. All right, okay, here we go. My husband's like, will you stop doing that? Thank you. All right, so here we are. What you got to understand is that we are dual citizens, okay? 12 hours for God and 12 hours for man. AM and PM, you break them down, is crystal clear. 12 to 3 AM, dreams, visions. This is where God talks to you. 3 to 6 AM, prayer, meditation, time with God. 6 to 9 AM, this is man's quadrant. You're getting ready to go to work, you're commuting, you're in traffic, all of that stuff. 9 to 12, you're beginning your work day, okay? Move over to PM. 12 to 3 is man's time. This is the bulk of the work day, lunch, meetings, and all of that. 3 to 6 AM, man, this is the close of the work day. 6 to 9, your return to your sanctuary, return to your home. This is God's domain. 9 to 12, the close of your day. This is God's domain. 12 hours for God, 12 hours for man. Notice, God requires the dark parts of your life. Okay, so pay attention to that. God works in the silent places. Time is important. It's very important because the natural is constantly whispering to you what heaven wants you to know. You show up to work late too many times, what's going to happen? You're going to get written up. You're going to, what kind of job you working at? I get warned. Alicia, can I see you in my office, please? So man tells you how important time is, but we shortchange God all the time. Okay? And so as I coach people, this is funny with me. When I coach people between 3 and 6 a.m. So only the serious need apply, because when you get up with me, we're going to do some things. And so that's what you got to understand, is that when you start giving to God what God needs to do, the work that God needs to do, that's some powerful stuff, okay? So understand that. So in developing our kingdoms, in developing who God has created us to be, it's very important that you get in tune and understand just how you are creating things. And so what we're going to talk about next is to understand how we have created most of our lives. Most of our lives we have created in a man-made way, okay? Man-made circles. Okay, we'll just use one of these circles. God made circles. God is God of decency. God is God of order. God made circles go clockwise. Okay? And so when things go clockwise, everything goes in order. We create counterclockwise. We do everything backwards. And I'll show you what that looks like if I can find it. Little circle. I need my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, use your imaginations with me, okay, so I won't waste time. In the journaling work that I teach, God is a God of promises. God answers prayers. A lot of times people think that God doesn't answer prayers because we give up before the prayer has been answered. When you are journaling with passion and purpose, and when you are serious about what you are asking God to do, test Him. And you test Him by dedicating your journal. And you write it down, and you make it plain. Okay? This is very interesting to me, and when I do my workshop, everybody wants to rush through stuff, and I keep, did y'all not hear me? God is not bound by time. God is the creator of time. So if you've been in a certain situation for 7 to 8 years, at least give God equal time to get you out. Okay? Give God equal time. It may not take that long, depending on how radically obedient you are, but give God equal time. Put a date on your entry. Because all of this, as you move deeper into the work and as you understand more of how God speaks to you, everything matters. And because with the journaling work that we do, you're not journaling stuff that you've already done. You're not journaling stuff. You're not rehashing the past. You're not doing all of that. You are speaking things that are not as if they were. And that can be some freaky stuff for some people when they are not used to understanding the power of their words. So that is the reason why you need to date and put a time on your stuff. Because let's say that November, what is today's date? The 9th, 2014, God tells you to write something down. That has not happened yet, okay? And then a year to the date, you go back, and this is what I do all the time. I was like, I said that! November 11th, 2014, I said such and such. And it's November 11th this year, and I've already spoken it into existence. And so that's why you need to write stuff down, okay? Because your word, you go to a canyon or a valley and you hear your echo and you know that the words just carry on and on and on. The same thing here on earth when you're speaking. As soon, it's like a Google search. When you search something in Google, it's gonna comb and find the best match. And most of the times, because we speak so many things that are not in alignment with what God wants us to have, it comes back with some crazy stuff. Because God is a God of prosperity, God is a God of peace, God is a God of abundance. God, I really hate this man right now, and I need you to kill him. So you spoken it out there. So the universe is Google searching. Well, shoot, God, how are we supposed to make that happen? And all of this crazy stuff comes back to you because that's what you said. So this keeps you focused. And people are like, well, how do you know your journal is done when your life looks like your dedication? and I will read and that's the thing, my husband and I, he's really on board with this right now. When I used to tell my story before, he'd be like, really? You had to tell it all. I was like, this is the work I do. You signed it for me if I didn't. So, this journal right here, this sucker right here, this is why when people ask me what kind of dedication they should write, this journal right here, keep your dedication small. This is the biggest one of my Bibles. I was like, oh my goodness. I take them one for the team so you don't have to. So keep your dedication small so when God's working with you, don't hurt as much, okay? And mind you that when you are journaling, the always journal way, when you are journaling, you journal from a place, from your higher self. You journal from what you want to see happen, not from what you can see. Because once you see stuff in the natural, it's already here. It don't mean nothing. Okay? You are pulling fresh manna from heaven. And that's what your focus needs to be. Okay, so this dedication right here, now that this is done, this journal, by the way, is complete. This journal is complete. Thank you, Jesus. All right, so here we go. September 9th, 2009. It was just completed this weekend. 2009, it was just completed this weekend, okay? Dear Lord, this day I dedicate this journal to you and the restorative process. Oh, and pay attention to the words that you use, okay? Because that's one of the exercises we do when I coach people. They're like, oh, daggone, really? We have to do a word analysis, okay? What your word means and what it means to God. Because complete here on earth for us means that it feels good and we're in a happy place. Complete for God means that we're going to do this thing full circle. All right, so this when I was writing this sounded real holy and righteous, right? I was like, oh God, thank you, Jesus. We're going to do so many wonderful things together. This day, this is before I knew about the word, the analysis. So I have done a lot of extensive study as it relates to journaling. So learn from me. So you don't have to. And I do prison ministry. The funny thing is that, some people serve in some serious time. And when I explain the circles and the cycles, they're like, all I had to do was understand a circle. Ain't nobody told me. Just a circle. Just a circle. If you can understand a circle, you can work out your life. Anyway, dear Lord, this day I dedicate this journal to you and the restorative process you're taking us through. This journal is dedicated to our new life. And mind you, our marriage, everything was a wreck. We were a train wreck that already happened and we were probably getting ready to get hit again, okay? This journal is dedicated to our new life. This journal is dedicated to the life you've always intended. We are so filled and so graciously anointed, we won't even speak. We can no longer separate our dreams from reality. We speak words and things change. And we were cussing each other out. So you don't speak from where you are, okay? We are in complete alignment with your will. People see us and know that we are blessed. Our lives on earth are just as they are in heaven. You have restored us to our rightful place in the kingdom. Our lives are our ministry. We are living, and I wasn't doing always journaling. I didn't even know about always journal, okay? Our lives are our ministry. This is my ministry. Everything that we touch prospers. Mike, that's my husband, has assumed his rightful position. He is truly a man after your own heart. With him, O Lord, you are well pleased. Our lives are jewels in your crown. Our family line is abundantly blessed. This journal is dedicated to this. You got to understand that Sister Girl was really stretching. Because I'm writing this and I'm Googling no contest divorces. Okay? So you can understand where my mind was at this point. Okay? This is God, and there's the process is to understand your God voice. And so this is ask. Just ask God what you want. And God was like, I give y'all the biggest cheat sheet and nobody uses it. When that discomfort comes up in you and something doesn't feel right, that's God giving you the cheat sheet. Ask me for what you want. God, this marriage just don't feel right. This is, you want something better for me? Ask me. God, will you heal my marriage? Yes, I will. How simple was that? Ask. Okay. So, God speaks to us all the time. We don't always listen, but he speaks to us. So this is God's response to me. And this was funny because this journal was huge. Alicia, my sweet and precious child, he loves me. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to make the first entry. You are my seed. You are growing wonderfully. Notice this is the largest journal you've ever had. The blessings to spring forth will match. I promise you great reward for your obedience. Stay with me always. Goodness and mercy are before you. Goodness and mercy are behind you. My love and greatness surround you. You are truly blessed. Ask, seek, and knock. The door will always open. I didn't know anything about the ask. I didn't know how all of this was going to play out. And so as you start to journal and you commit yourself to journaling, know that this stuff is not play. Okay? And so what you're going to do, like you do the dedication, you do your God letter, and then you write a day in your new life. Okay? And a day in your new life is pretty much whatever you feel it's going to be once your dedication is accomplished. Now, what you got to understand about this work, it ties into what you're creating. God made circles go in a clockwise position. This 12 o'clock mark represents the beginning of a new season, beginning of a new cycle, the beginning of a new day. Everything that we do begins with a promise. The direction that you go is the promise. Dear Lord, I ask that you help us to heal our marriage. You go in a clockwise position, 12 to 3, the darkest part of the day. You're going to hit the dark part of that situation. Look at the anatomy of the circle. Immediately hit the seams. So don't be alarmed when you ask God to do something and it doesn't happen immediately. Because this 12 to 3 represents the heavenly portion. It's still in heaven. Be still and know that God is in agreement with you. Okay? Once you have come into an understanding that you and God are in this thing together, you're going to hit this mark. It's your equator, your baseline. The request that you've made of God has to drop down to all of your preconceived notions about what it's supposed to look like. My mama was divorced. My auntie them were divorced. Matter of fact, I don't even think they were ever married. It don't compute. You got to break through, understanding that what God wants for you doesn't look like anybody else's. So once you come into alignment with that, then it drops down to earth. And see, most people don't get to the point of understanding that God wants you to have what he wants you to have worse than you want to have. So once it drops down into the earth plane, here you and God were in complete communication. When it drops down here, this is where you start to enter into your prayer, meditation, and time with God. where you need to start to get instructions on how to carry this thing out. So in your prayer, meditation, and time with God, God, will you please help me to heal my marriage? Will you please help me to do all of these things? I truly believe that you want it to happen. You've actually shown me these things. We're going to make this work. Prayer, meditation, God is going to give you things to do. And this is where people sometimes mess up. God will say, write a letter to your husband and explain everything. Oh, I can't do that. You got some more instructions. A lot of times people get stuck on what they're supposed to do. Because here, this is for God. This is God kind of dealing with you through your dreams and your visions. This is where you have to put the rubber to the road. Once you are in agreement with what your instructions are, you move to this third quadrant, which is where you carry out that instruction. Once you carry out that instruction, it immediately pushes it back up to heaven, and then the angels can do what they need to do. So you realize there's really very little work for you to do. So you ask in agreement with the promise. God, through your dreams and visions, helps you to understand that, yes, this is what you can do. I will help you. It drops down here. God gives you an instruction. You carry it out and it goes. Okay? And so that's how so many things, when people look at me, how are you able to do all this stuff? I'm real stupid like that. I like easy, okay? Because I create, I'm going to show you how we mainly create, okay? So here we go. It all begins with the promise. Both ways begin with the promise. So God's in both of them. When you do it in a God-made way, that's loaded with revelation. God just keeps revealing stuff. When you do it in a man-made way, it's loaded with lessons. I've done it both ways. I like the revelation because it comes a little bit before what's going to happen. Just a little bit before, so you get a heads up. So when it does happen, you're like, oh, I'm good with that. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, let me show you how we create. God, I want a relationship. I want to be in a marriage. Okay. When you go in the counterclockwise way, this is dark. It's the beginning part of the day. When you go backwards, you can see too much of the vision. Well, God said that he wanted me to have a man, so he has to be 6'2", attaché care. He has to make, 100,000 or more so we can travel and do all of that. So you are going to go out and start to create this thing, okay? And so you go out and you start, scoping and trying to, can you hook me up with somebody? Oh, who's that? Can you give me his number? Can we make the connection? So you hook this thing up, okay? Still based on the promise. God does want you to have somebody, but you just have not waited to find out who it is that God wants you to have. So 9 times out of 10, we are creators. So we create a lot of things. So we create this scenario, we get the man, we get what we want, and then we drop down to here. And so this quadrant is your creation, and this quadrant is convincing people and yourself that actually you like what you created. Yeah, girl, I know he's out of the country, 6 months out of the year, but we do go on vacation and he does give me the card all the time, and it's all right, it's okay, really, I'm good, girl, I'm good. And then you always end up in prayer and meditation, but in this way you sound like you're begging, God, if you just help me to get out of this, I promise you I will never do this again, okay? So you see how we create differently, okay? Man-made versus God-made. Okay, and so a lot of times when we are creating man-made, everybody talks about spirit, mind, body. Spirit, mind, body sounds very spiritual and very good, okay? But nobody ever talks about the order of that thing, okay? Most of the times we are creating mind, body, and spirit, or body, mind, spirit. Okay, you create mind, body, spirit. Your mind is telling you what to do. It gets your body into alignment, and you dragging your spirit along. Okay, and that's what this man-made circle is. All right, body is the same. If you create body, mind, spirit, you really screwed up. But when you are creating in a God-made circle, you are creating spirit first, mind second, and body third, okay? Your mind, at this point right now, your mind is only here to compute stuff. It is not here to tell you what to do. Because we don't know how to use it well enough yet. And so your mind is here in the natural to help us to navigate this earth so we don't kill ourselves. Okay, just basic stuff. Stop it, stop signs, do this, turn right, all of that. The spirit is the driver, and it tells your mind what to do. And your body is just a vehicle that we use to get it done. Okay? Until you learn how to use this vehicle properly. So when you're looking at the God-made circle, you understand that this is all spirit. This is spirit. Here, it's spirit and the mind is introduced. Okay? So spirit, spirit, mind. The only time your body gets involved is when you need to carry out those instructions. Spirit, mind, body. And then it goes back to spirit again. And so you've got to understand that there's an order to everything that we do. So are we clear on that? Are there any questions so far? All right. And so what we're going to, I guess we can go into some of the journaling work so that you can kind of get an overview. And for those of you who would like to be included on our mailing list, we can send you out the 30 days so that you can actually start on your own. And the thing with the 30 days is that is basically just to kind of get you going and to break up the soil. If you want to continue on with the coaching, the deeper work, we integrate your life path, you're familiar with the life path information and all of that, because we're all created with a unique purpose. And once you understand what your purpose is, there is no competition whatsoever. Okay? So one of the things that you have to understand about the journaling work that you're going to enter into is that you are going to start with your dedication. Okay, the dedication, as I explained, is that you are co-creating with God. So understand that God has work to do and you have work to do. Okay, and there's a whole host of angels waiting for us. Okay, to do work. They're waiting for our instructions, and they're just sitting there like with nothing to do. So always put a date and time on your entries, because you're going to need to understand when God has instructed you to do things and the timing of everything. And if you're into, you guys are into the year cycles and all of that. So you'll understand, like when you're journaling in advance and you understand what year cycle you're in, you're going to see how all of this is just beautifully orchestrated. Always write in spirit and truth. Always. Okay? Truth. I have a story for everything. So truth. One day I'm sitting at my desk and I was like, God, I really want a quick, because I'm dense like that. I need quick lessons. So I was sitting at my desk and I said, I need to understand what truth is. And so God was like, I work in Georgetown, go outside in the canal. And so I go outside and there's this homeless guy. And he has a cup. Spirit, remember, God speaks to me, homeless people, drunk people, and numbers. Okay, so spirit change for homeless guy, spirit change for homeless guy. I'm like, God, I see this dude all the time. What's he gonna teach me about truth? So he's sitting there making all this noise, and then there's another homeless guy that comes across the footbridge, and he goes straight to the garbage can. He pulls out like a container that had a sandwich in it. He eats it. Then he rumbles around some more, and then he pulls out a juice and he drinks it. Then the dude laid down with the sleep. God was like, that's the truth. Truth takes action. Truth does what needs to be done. And truth don't make a whole lot of noise. So once you understand that you need to operate, and when you start to operate in spirit and truth and you start to journal, your life is going to become real. Okay? Because all of the talking that we're doing on the outside is because we're not clear on who we are. But once God starts to work with you on the inside, you become real still because you don't want to miss anything. Pay attention to everything that crosses your path, okay? Because God is uniquely talking to each and every one of us individually. And you've got to understand that once you start to operate in your kingdom, you are more beneficial to the kingdom at large. okay? Because you're no longer fractured. I'm no longer intimidated by the gift that you bring. I'm no longer intimidated by the degrees that you have, because God has given me something uniquely for me. You must always be willing to give up something, okay? If it's a bad attitude, if it's lying, you know what you need to give up. You got to put that thing on the altar. I sacrifice this. Take it. I'm done. Never recount the past. 9 times out of 10, the 2, 3, 4 sides of every story, you ain't gonna never remember it just right. You're gonna add stuff to it. You're gonna take stuff away from it. Just leave it alone. Your words have power. Okay? Remember that. Jeremiah 29:11. Now this is interesting. Well, I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. It's all part of the plan. People are looking for this one unique plan that is going to seal the deal. Okay? Me being here is one of the plans. When I get back in my car and go do what I have to do this afternoon, that's another part of the plan. For I know the plans, plural. So there's no good or bad. It's all working together for the good of those who love and serve Him. The key to that is all things work together for the good. All things work together for the good. This was funny to me when God started dealing with me. God would say, you give me a bunch of cow manure, some rotten food, and just some, stale old funky stuff that you don't want anymore. He'll bring it back to you based on what you gave him. God was like, give me better stuff and I'll give you better stuff. I'm returning to you what you are giving to me. If I go and I'm cussing people out and I'm fussing and I'm being deceitful and God's gonna work it all out, but you've only given him crap to work with, and he's going to bring it up as much as he can based on what you've given him. Give him better stuff and you get better results. Got it? All right. Our Father. Once you kind of work through that and understand who you're dealing with, it takes on a whole nother level. The kingdom of God is within you. It's not outside. Once you establish that and you free yourself to understand that your kingdom is your kingdom, I am so excited. If I had known this in my 20s, anyway, that's another story. Matthew, let your yes be yes and let your no be no. Just be clear. You are either in alignment with what you've asked God for or you're not. I either believe that you're going to help me with this or you're not. Because once you set that dedication in motion, once you understand that God in heaven is there conspiring to make it happen, you can no longer pay attention to the natural, because the natural is harvesting seeds that you have planted in the past. Every seed has a right to harvest. So when things come up in your life that you have planted, your right in this is that you don't have to fertilize. Just honor it and say, you know what, I planted that 6 years ago. You just coming up now. Thank you, but I'm on to something new. Be excited about that, because that is an indicator that the words that you're planting right now, when they start to come up, then you realize it's a game changer, okay? Take up your mat and walk. John 5:8. Take up your mat. Take up all of the junk that you've been sitting on and not moving on. And do what you need to do to get it done. Lick your own wounds. Heal your own self. Talk to your own Father. I get so tired of people. I'm trying not to go off. But I get so tired. Sister, will you pray for me? Pray for yourself.
Pray for yourself. Take responsibility for your own life. Become a student of your own life. Take care of your own healing. Take care of your own marriage. Don't look to other people. This was so funny to me. When my husband and I, we were going through our situation, there have been many times that I wanted to get out. I was like, God, I did not sign up for this. Okay, yeah, I did my part, but I didn't sign up for this much. This is crazy. Be mindful of who you get your information from. Never get marriage advice from a bitter sister who's never been married, who's talking to her twice divorced mama. Okay? It's just some stuff you don't do. Pay attention to the promise that God has given you. Okay? God, I want out of this relationship. If you help me out, I'll be your girl. My husband and I had an argument. We had a minivan at the time. I got in my minivan and I drove up to the CVS. I don't know why I was driving to the CVS, but I drove up to the CVS. I was talking to my girlfriend on the phone. So we were just laughing, just, you know, she always went laugh. The single bitter mama, you know, the woman that God told me to stop talking to her, but who I'm on the phone with, right? So I was like, okay. So anyway, I'm sitting there, pay attention to everything that crosses your path. There's this black Cadillac that parks right in the fire lane in front of the CVS. So I'm sitting there, I see him parked there. I was like, oh, you don't know, they give out tickets, I just whatever. So I'm talking to her on the phone, and so we're laughing, and he goes into the CVS, and then he comes out. And I'm in the parking lot, it's a parking lot. And I hear this voice, and he said, that must be a good conversation. I was like, girls, a black Cadillac is gonna pop off. I can't see the license plate, but you know, I'm giving a description. And I was like, yes. He said, congratulate me. Mind you, my husband and I just had an argument. I said, for what? He said, today is my 25th wedding anniversary. I put the phone down. Bravo. I'll be happy if I make it to 10. He looked at me, so I'm about to ask, you gotta go through to the kid. He got in his car and he drove off. I was like, what? What does that mean? Okay. So all that to say, let your yes be yes and let your no be no. You either with God or you not with God. You can't be straddling the fence back and forth. And speaking of straddling the fence, how am I looking with time? Because I can go. Oh, is that the time over there? Okay, good. What is it? I can't even see that. 12:40. 12:40? Okay, all right, I have a few minutes. Okay. Pay attention to how God speaks to you. Decisions. Make a decision. Make a decision. Make it firm and stick with that thing. Okay? I do prison ministry. We had a prison workshop. So the minister that I was working with, we were doing this real life exercise. And so what we're doing, this is something you do not say to prisoners. I learned all this stuff the hard way. It was hilarious. So I'm sitting there and I'm in my spiritual mode, right? I was like, you know, how many people want to go to heaven? Everybody's like, yeah, that sounds good. How many people want to go right now? Wait a minute, hold on, what you talking about? I was like, oh shoot, I said, no, that's not it. So the exercise was that there were two columns. We had to assign a zip code to heaven and a zip code to earth, okay, so that we could understand the difference. And so the zip code that we assigned to earth was whatever the prison zip code was. And then to heaven, we assigned 77777. That sounds real celestial, very heavenly. So I'm sitting there and I'm doing my thing. And so I just realized what was going on behind me. And so I love being around spirit-led people. You got to have a few in your Rolodex and in your phone. It's a beautiful thing. So all of this is going on behind me. So Renee is telling me, change the number. I was like, okay. So I turned back around. The number was 33333. I said, okay, I thought it was something, but that's cool. That's good. So we go on with the workshop. Make your decisions clear. We leave. I had dropped my car off at the gas station before we left, and I rode with them. So I went back to pick my car up. I have had my car serviced at this gas station for years. maintenance, oil change. So I just had the routine stuff done. So I go pick it up, and the receipt was how much?
Oh, no.
I have it. I document all my stuff. 3333. What's the receipt?
3333.
$33.33.
I thought something.
No, it's coming. Hold on. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, God, that was fun. You know, God don't never do nothing to tickle your flesh, but I was tickled. I was like, that was hilarious. So I ran out the store and I ran to my girlfriends because they know me. And like, oh shoot, what's about to happen? So I was like, look, it's 33.33. Okay, so I get to work on Monday. So I'm walking around. I was like, girl, guess what happened? We're in the prison and da-da-da-da-da. And so my girlfriends, they laugh because they know me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that was Monday. Nothing happened. We went back to work. On Tuesday, I get there a little early. Don't know why. I'm not an early person by any stretch. I get up at 3. See, that's how God works. God will use some of the strangest stuff that I'm not an early morning person, but when it's time for me to do it, I'm up because God gives you the strength to do. Mama, you know I ain't no early morning person. So when God tells you to get up, because that's when they were like, you get up at 3 to 6. So anyway, Tuesday I got to work early. So I'm walking around doing my good mornings, got my coffee and everything. So I go back to my cube and I passed by one of my coworkers. I was like, tell her the story. I said, God, I want to tell the story. You don't with this. I don't feel like going through all of this back and forth about the Jesus, Holy Spirit thing and all that. I was like, tell her the story. Okay, all right. So I went up and told the story. I said, we were at the prison. We did this 33333 thing. And she said, what? You just reminded me of something. I said, girl, what did I remind you of? She said, check this out. She said, I have a bill to pay. I said, you got a bill to pay? She said, yeah. She said, guess how much it is? I said, how much is it? $333.33. And I got the proof right here because I took a picture of it. She said, girl, don't be putting all my business out there. So I took the name off of it. I'll find it. I'll have to show y'all. But it's there. $333.33. So all that to say, okay, I get back to my desk because this is getting kind of freaky, right? So it's like, God, what is this really? What is this really about? A month before, I'm sitting at my desk and I was taking this microeconomics class. And so at my desk, God said, okay, this is the deal. I don't know why you're my go-to man. But you can pass that around. And so I'm at my desk and God was like, are you going to your microeconomics class? I said, well, if the bus is on time and I can catch my train, then I'll go. Make a decision. Okay. Well, a few minutes later, are you going to class? If I can make it, I'll go. Make a decision. I get up to the top of the hill. I have been in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area since 87, 88. Never has this happened. I get to my bus. And I'm on the bus and we go 4 stops. Bus driver kills the engine, stands up and says, everybody needs to get off the bus. I gotta go to the bathroom. I get off the bus. God was like, make a decision or a decision will be made for you. I said, okay, I get it. Or so I thought. So we reload the bus. I'm dense like that, okay, for real. I get back on the bus, so God said, you gonna make it to that class? Well, if I can make it to the train, and the train gets there, then I go. I still haven't made the decision. I get to the train, take the MARC train to Louis. I get on the train. I'm sorry, but this train has experienced major mechanical difficulties. We have to change the engine. I was like, you know, at this point I feel like Joan on the boat, because everybody's looking around like, what the heck? It's me, no, I'm sorry. So I get there and I said, okay, make a decision. So God was like, you know, you find everything on Google, right? God uses whatever he needs to. God said, look up the numbers. 333, 33, and 333. Just the way they came to you, right? So I searched it. This is the definition of hypocrisy. This is why I say make your election sure. 333, 33, 33, 33. This number offers you a choice. The Holy Trinity is activated within the tetrahedron, three-sided pyramid in your DNA structure. This number offers an opportunity to connect you with highly evolved spiritual beings, masters, angels, Christ. The Trinity is the holiness within all of your choices. Your body, mind, spirit in agreement with your soul's evolution. Are you talking about that mind, body, spirit? Within this number, you are not allowed to straddle the razor blade fence of indecision. Connection with the wisdom of the oversoul and seeing the sacredness in all of your choices, no matter what the outcome. When you make a choice and you've made it with God, you stick to it and you see that sucker through to the end. That's what this journaling work is all about. So as you start to move through your process, as you start to understand what God needs to have done with you and through you, be excited. It's not going to always feel good in the natural because you're shaking things up. But if you are clear on the promise and the dedication and understand that it's not complete until your life looks like that dedication, it gives you the courage that you need to run on. So no matter what people tell you in the natural, if it opposes what God has told you within, then you must understand that you've got to go with what you know. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so I can wrap up now if you want to. Are there? Oh, you're right. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any? Like I said, I'll get email addresses if you'd like to be added to the mailing list, and you can go deeper into the exploration of what your words are and what they mean, and things like that. And you can, come to our event so you can get the full take on the entire journaling experience. So, if there aren't any questions,
it's not a question, but when you, I am a social worker.
Okay.
And that when you talk about the homeless, you have really helped me because I always, although I know I was called to do that, I have not always looked at it as, okay, I'm coming from the church background, where you give it to him, but I will actually say that I can't say that I've always said, now, because I have a situation right now where I have a family in a hotel. And when you were saying that, I was laughing because on Friday, I'm calling everybody and their mama, and they're like, well, we just came. But the fortunate thing is that they were able, place did pay for 2 nights. And she had some points. So at least she's gonna be there by the time I get there tomorrow. But I never looked at it like, ask, or I'm always inserting because it's ingrained for us to do that. But going to work tomorrow, I'm gonna write that down and not always just insert, because one thing we do understand, we are not to inflict our value system. We may look at it and say, well, you should have done, but no, we're there to serve and to help them. But I believe I'm going into my career differently now because I have told Dorita so many times how many times I want to walk out the door and I have 8 more years before I do say goodbye. I do go to my transition. But I really want to thank you because it has given me something to think of, a lot to reflect upon the rest of the day. And when I walk in here tomorrow to see it more and really listening to God in me instead of me trying, doing the man part of it. We have the list too called Streetlight Ministry, this ministry, okay, Lord. And
Who do you want me to call?
And we get those calls at Friday at 3:00 in the afternoon, where you going in the weekend. Really? Can you go stay with us? But, so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes.
I met a young lady a couple of years ago at the church I used to attend, and so having the service was over, we were standing at the door, and I was waiting for my husband to come with my car, And so she was standing next to me. Miss Mild Mannered Darlene said, "Hi, how you doing?" And the conversation went on. I said, "Where you headed to?" She said, "Well, I'm homeless right now." And she said, kind of staying at the shelter, the hotel, which was next door to the church. And I said, well, you want to go eat with me? You want to go have something to eat? So there we went. And I have not been able to part company with her much. Now, everything, and I'm just going to skip some of the things, maybe I'll fill everybody in later on. But everything that I did and everybody I put, her name is Keisha, in contact with, she screwed them. Okay. Screwed them hard. But you know, you can screw me and I can kind of like go through my moments, but then I'll get over it eventually. It may not take a year, it might take 2 years, but I'll get over it. So anyway, I called Keisha today and asked her if she wanted to go to lunch, to dinner with me. And so we're supposed to meet this evening, but to back up, what Keisha did to one of the deacons of the church, he said, you know, she came to me. He said, "I see you talking to her and you take her home, and you do this, whatever." I said, "Well, I'll just take her next door to the shelter where she lives." And I said, "I'll take her grocery shopping, whatever she needs me to do, I'll take her." Well, he said, "Well, I just wanted to know because she asked me and my wife for a few things to help her out." And I said, "Whatever God puts on your heart to do for her, you do it, because you know, we can't judge people. We're here to just do an assignment." Okay, that's easy for me to say to him, right? But when it came to me, he put Keisha up in this apartment, right? Keisha had us thinking that she had a night job at Howard University. Keisha moved up in that apartment. I took her dishes. I took her to the thrift store, bought her dishes. I bought her pots and pans, all this stuff. And Keisha was up there. I even took her little TV, you know, because she didn't have cable, with the VCR, and so she could watch movies and, you know, put her on. Keisha had and I always brought these little tables with me. So I took one of my little compact tables and the chairs, and she had to come to find out Keisha had no job. Keisha took camp up in that apartment just like it was hers. And I said, "Keisha, how could you do that?" I said, "How could you do that?" And the thought came to me, she was down and out. Who wouldn't? If you were in her situation, okay? She played it to the max, okay? Time went on. I just said, "Keisha, look, I'm going through my moments. Just let me go through my moments. Don't call me for a minute." I said, "I'll be fine." And I said, "And when I get over myself, I'm going to call you." And that's what I did. I've been calling her. I didn't call her every day, but I've been calling her. But the relationship still goes on. Now she just moved into her apartment. I had one of my husband's friends move her into her apartment. She didn't pay him all his money, but that's okay. That's all right. She got in there. And she's doing fine, so I'm gonna go and take her to dinner. So now I'll give y'all phase 2. Because I'm so Keisha didn't take up camp in that Oh my goodness. But that is my ministry also. Homeless.
I love it.
Yeah, I go to the homeless shelter. I wash feet at the women's shelter on 2nd Street. One day from 10 in the morning to 10 at night. I wash feet. They were so thankful. They were so great. So that's it.
Beautiful spirit. Thank you.
I'll bring Keisha so y'all can meet Keisha.
That's okay. That's okay. That's your
Really, really true.
I'm gonna stay in my life.
I'm bring her for you because you all can do the
Oh my
But I'm
goodness.
sure you all have had your Keisha. Maybe not to that extent, but everybody has had somebody.
Oh boy, Keisha, work. Oh, that's hilarious.
Hilarious. Oh my God. Oh, right. Thank you so much. Oh, yes.
Yes, I just have a comment. I just want to say I really, really enjoyed your presentation.
Oh,
Even though the subject was on journaling,
mm-hmm.
it expanded my consciousness to accomplish what you're speaking about. Specifically, not so much as writing down what actually happened, but prophesying on our intention, what we want to do, so that we can track our creation as we're creating those things. So it's a different conscious reaction to journaling now that you kind of shared this presentation. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I thank you for the insight on the time, 12 hours.
Yeah.
12 hours.
It helps you to balance things out.
Yeah.
You can understand when you're kind of slipping out of alignment. I thank you so much for having me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so do you have any announcements, something that happening in the community that we may need to know about?
Next Saturday, at a farm, he's having a men's workshop. Really temporaryyummy.org for the schedule.
Okay. So that's going on. We have our 12 o'clock meditation every day, Tuesday through Friday here at ISE. So you can come up and do meditation with us. What else do we have going on, Chef?
First Fridays.
First Fridays for the ladies. We had a
Yes, we did have the first
we had a
Friday.
first Friday.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
We had a very first Friday.
And it was
It was first.
very, it was the first.
It was first. It was first.
And next December 5th will be the next First Friday for the ladies. So we invite the ladies to come out and enjoy that with us. No preconceived conceptions here.
Just be ready.
Just be ready. Yeah, it is about women, and once we started this group because we realized that when the woman is educated, the world is educated.
Mm-hmm.
And the nonsense that's going on in our world right now, and we are allowing it, we're allowing our men to treat us and disrespect us because we haven't raised our boys to be men.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta get on our job.
Because I was at the Male Initiative Forum yesterday at Morgan State. One thing is that they said that has to be done. They said the women really have to take up the mantle and start demanding more from the men and from the boys. Until that, the women will just accept anything and will not change the tone of the community.
That's right. And you heard it from his mouth, and it's true. It's true because we have to do it.
Because you think about it, it's all about the creative process.
Right.
And
the female creates.
And the female creates. So if you don't have the cohesiveness, the direction of cohesiveness, then anything can happen.
That's right.
Manifest.
That's right. So we do that first Fridays, and since we've been doing it for the females, the men have now asked me to do one for them. So I'm putting that out there and seeing how am I going to formulate that one for the men. That would be very interesting. That would be very interesting. What else? What else are we saying? For those of you Thanksgiving, we're going to have our own private Thanksgiving here for people who don't do the Thanksgiving celebration, but ours will just be like a social for like-minded people. So you can come up here and talk and dance and whatever we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something here for Thanksgiving. Because I'm not going to Thanksgiving dinner with my family this year. And I've been going just to see them because I don't participate in all of those rituals that they do. And I used to sit in the kitchen. I said, well, what am I doing this? If they want to see me, they pick up the phone, they call me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going. So the ISE will be open this year, because I don't do that at Christmas anyway. But I'm thankful for my family, so I would go, be with the family. So we'll do something here. Then for the 21st of December, which is the solstice, we're going to have a harvest. So we'll once again bring food in, candlelights, and have a social harvest here. And I think that's all of the announcements. Shall we?
The Chief Social, will commence
Thank you. Tell them about that.
when,
Probably in March and springtime again,
2015.
2015. So in the meantime, we're going to be putting together a live stream roundtable, similar to the show that comes on TV called The Doctors, where there's two doctors that sit around and talk about various issues. So Dr. Yu, myself, and Darlene.
I'm Dr. Is.
My brother Hareem Ra'af. I'll be putting together a live stream once a month. We talk about specific issues and offer 2 suggestions and tips on natural ways to bring those issues back into alignment, whatever this is, whatever energy and balance that someone has. I'll suggest on bringing those back in alignment. Right. And we've also started doing our full moon meditations on the day of the full moon, which this past Thursday was a full moon in Taurus, so we actually had a meditation Thursday night. So the next full moon, we have a meditation, whatever that day is, meditation that night, and it was very powerful for those who attended. So,
What time?
7 p.m.
7.
Right.
Okay, and I think the box is going around. We ask that you give to the Institute. You know, I used to say, don't hurt yourself. I want you to pinch the hell out of yourself.
Thank you.
So give the money, because we really have to, you know, a lot of the places in Washington are no longer, you guys a a lot of the places in Washington are leaving, you know, especially for us where we can meet, where we can commune, because there's a war on us, you know, that people are, any place that they want, they have cash money, they can just put it down and buy that facility, and then we don't have a place to meet. So this is one of the few places, although it's small, but it's ours and we can meet here. So we need to, you know, step up the giving. We've put out a GoFund asked, and I know that a lot of times people don't even realize exactly what we do here and the edification of the minds that we serve, the spirit of the person, the soul of the person, and that's what we're doing. We're teaching you how to work with that soul energy that's within you, because our churches aren't doing it. Our churches are giving us a bunch of wonderful little stories, and that's great, you know, for that entertainment. But how many times do I have to hear the Jesus story? Because to our own stress. Right. So if there are not any other, we've got a question, come on up.
Just a statement. November is National Diabetes Month, and I got a Champions Award from the American Diabetes Association. And when I gave my training, during the workshops and the training, I threw in a bit of Dr. Africa in my presentation. So two of the people who were there, of course, Shep is always in the holistic part of it. They are incorporating that in what they do in the NASA's Virginia. So I challenge you all to just research what the history of diabetes is, when it originated and where it got its name. For National Diabetes Month.
I don't believe it personally. You know, everybody in my family has it, and they keep looking at me. You got the sugar.
It's I always say,
But this is an origination. It is
This is
whether you put that name to it or not, but it is an origination of the condition of the blood. So
And that's a mindset, because they're eating the same type of food, they're doing the same thing, and then they'll say it's hereditary.
Those are hereditary.
You know, you're just doing the same thing, because I'm the only one in my family who do not have it, because I don't eat the stuff that they eat.
Yeah, because
I don't even think like they think.
we did a show on Friday Big Radio. Me got me on diabetes. One thing to talk about is about the purpose of how they design the foods with excess sugar in it. Because that sugar causes inflammation in the body. And they want to talk about the social conditioning, about how you get depressed and how it stresses the immune system. So it's like a social conditioning factor.
Right.
And through the generations, through the family behavior models, which is not, family design is part of the social control factors. And then we talk about the quote unquote the social conditioning through drugs, through the food as well as through the media, because it's constantly
Bombarded, yeah.
chemically programmed.
And see, the whole thing with us is that we have to, it's a different lifestyle. It's a whole, what is it, be renewed. You know, you have to put the new wine in new skin. And that is, you know, you have to start thinking differently. You have to start carrying yourself differently. You have to start eating differently. And that's one of the reasons why I do not associate with my family. I mean, I love them dearly, but when I go over there and I start listening to that stuff that they are regurgitating year after year, the same, you know, with Dorita, you can eat some of these greens. We took the poke out. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, put a piece of pork in my pots and let me not. But I do. I love my family. They're wonderful, and I do know that they love me too. But we just don't see eye to eye, and I'm here to survive because I have to be here to help the people who do understand, who are making that transition within themselves. Because those churches and a lot of our doctors, they ain't really trying to help you. And that is the truth. And I'm here to stand for truth. You know? So there it is.
So to be one thing that is this month, that is real, is Domestic Violence Month. And since you talk about how we as women need to educate our men, if we all can remember that, because I'm sure you'll see on Facebook, especially in my sorority, we get a banner for everything. So if you're my Facebook friend, at some point you'll see the Zetas support domestic, domestic violence, but that is real. And so in transforming their mind is getting them to understand that they have to take their anger out. You know, there's another way to handle their anger, because that is definitely realistic.
Now that's interesting, because what just came in when you were saying that is to do this men's program, because we don't talk about slavery. We never talk about it among ourselves. That's the big no-no, you know. Oh, that happened a long time ago. But all of that hurt and that pain is in our DNA. And we just push it down, and it gets, what do we call it, scab.
Right.
So we need to start talking about that, and we need to have a way to express our anger. Because anger is important. We have to know when to bring it out. And that's one of the other things that I do, anger management. You know, and showing people that your anger is important, but you have to control that, just like you control your compassion, your love, your what?
Elation.
Your elation, whatever it is that you do, we have to be able to control this thing, you know? So,
And it's purple.
the color's purple. Okay, thank you. So any other questions, concerns, statements? I know Doctor, I don't know where you live, because he had a gift for everybody.
Before we leave, if anyone would like to be added to the mailing list, they can just put their email there.
If you want to be added to the mailing list, put your email here, and I'll just start passing it around. Yes, sir.
Just to comment also about the GoFundMe, because again, we are a church statistically, and we don't ask for tithes. We do ask for often no tithes. So our support comes from, the donations from everyone. And we're going to be putting together not just ask for donations, but a healing, fundraising healing thing. We'll be doing astrological readings, spiritual readings, various energy healings as well. So we just ask everyone to keep your ears to the pavement. So we put it out. We just ask everyone to let everyone know that they can come get some discounted healing services, readings, from the school, and to help us in our efforts to raise this money we need for. So just want to plant the seed for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay, well, what we do is when we close out, we do male, female, male, female, but I think we have more females today. Sometimes it's more men here, sometimes it's more women, but I think we have more, females. So if we can get up, and we'd like to turn our thumbs left for the energy to circulate. Oh, okay, we'll wait for Dr. Paul. He said he wanted to.
One of the things I noticed when I was at the New York Expo, the New York Expo in New York, we would have to do a better job of marketing on what we do, because it's too Eurocentric.
Yes.
And they get all the cheddar.
Yes, they do. You're right. Absolutely. We need some women up here. Come on, women, just move around. Find a man and get in between.
Sorry, I had a conference call. California.
Oh, did you have something that you wanted to say or do?
Oh, well, just in closing, thank you, the speaker for sharing her curiosity. And, as you know, that's where it's at, you know, paying attention is getting curious.
Feel the energy.
It is a good trait, to have curiosity, to discover and explore. And, you'll learn optimism, and also optimism is definitely, it's an attitude of gratitude.
Yes.
And being generous to others, but also synchronicity that you speak of, paying attention, being curious, and noticing.
Yes.
You will find that it's all right on time, every time. And there's no need to run out of time. Because you're going to be, I had a conference call, and I'm back into the circle. But no, I appreciate, I work in psychology, we speak of those things in terms of curiosity, paying attention, noticing, being drawn to, you know, the heart, you know, noticing with intuition you speak about, the wisdom, you know, and that's really where it's at. And you'll be satisfied and you'll be happy. And I appreciate that.
We do that later.
Okay.
But it's right on time.
Thank you.
It wasn't that, the language is no different than the connection we have. It's the heart, it's the wisdom, it's the intuition. And we must cultivate it, and we must pay attention to it as we enter the circle, as we breathe through our hearts and our mind. And you said that when people get too much of the rationale, they overthink the solution. There's no time to think, only to feel from the heart. And if you follow your heart, the wisdom, your intuition, you'll be happier. Your decisions will be better. Your judgment will be clear. You're right on time. And it was textbook. And your affirmation you speak of, the journaling is simply the affirmation. You must speak it into existence, and you must practice it daily. And I'm an advocate of positive affirmation, how to negate the negativity, to get out of learned pessimism, and to get into learned optimism. You're right on time, you know, and you showed up, and we thank you for showing up. Giving it your best and your best, and that's you're a learned optimist, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
So with that being said, when we all go out, I just want everybody to just this week, not this week, but from day on, because he's saying it, she came in and saying the same thing, and David is saying the same thing. So from now on, I just want everybody to, from this day, just start paying a lot more attention to the people, places, and the things you go, period. Just start being more aware of where you at, your surroundings, people you come in contact with, because you can even learn a lot from a dummy. Okay?
And a slick stick. And a slick stick.
And a slick. Basically, what you're saying, they all have their purpose. They all have their purpose, and they all there for it. So just start paying more attention.
And you could also start looking at it at the keyhole. At least pay attention. Not that you have to be a locksmith. You may end up being not a thief, but at least you become curious enough to learn to pick your own heart.
So with that being said, once you start paying attention, I want you to start paying attention to your feelings too. How you feel in that situation, whatever situation it is. Start paying attention to your feelings, how you feel when it happens.
That's the quality of your life.
That's
That's the quality of
not
your
get into it with our feelings.
You'll be happy.
Very well said. Yes, it is. So if we stand on our square and say to ourselves, peace, be still. Peace, be still. And Father, Mother God, we do give thanks for this time, this place, the people, the energy, the love, and the wisdom. Let us be responsible enough to take on the mantle of our divine Godhood and wear that with our true, authentic self. For this time that we spent together in oneness and harmony, we say Ashe.
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 Heart say, heart say.
So it is.
The heart say,
And there's food in the back, so help yourself.
heart say,
Give a hug, give a hug.
heart say, heart say.